Michelle is a six-figure Amazon bookseller. She buys books on Amazon and resells them back on Amazon for a profit. She's also a BookMine member. She actually has a 9 to 5 job as well in the banking industry. She's a wife. She's a stepmother of two. And Victor and I are really excited because we want to know how in the world, Michelle, are you getting all this done, selling over 100,000 per year? So really excited to dive into this interview. Of course, I'm joined with Victor and of course, Michelle. So Michelle, what's going on first? And we'll go to Victor.
Hey guys, thanks for having me. Really appreciate the invite and the chance to talk to you guys today about selling books.
What's up, man?
Yeah, what's up? I'm just happy to have Michelle here. She's one of the most involved members of our community. Anybody who asks a question, she's one of the people who are right there to answer it, and actually really great answers. Like a lot of times I'm thinking, wow, this answer was even better than what I would have put, right? Or sometimes I'll just be like, yeah, just don't buy the book. But Michelle will come back after me and be like, here are the reasons why I don't buy that book, right? So she's helped her out a lot, and she's really successful, and she continues to scale slightly, right? So she's one of these people like, okay, well, this year at 100, next year 150, next year maybe 175. So she's slowly growing, but it's fun to catch up with her now, and maybe we'll even like have a round two of this after, seeing your how well we do here, and then maybe in a year see where she is then. So yeah, I'm just happy you're here, Michelle.
Yeah. So let's hear a little bit of an origin story because people don't just fall into book selling. So could you just briefly talk to us about like how did what was the funnel of like how did you go from here to here to okay, now I buy books on Amazon and resell them on Amazon? It is actually kind of a crazy idea if you think about it.
It is. I'm not sure like how much of the story you want, so I'll just start out at the
Yeah.
very beginning
Sure.
for now. So TikTok, started on TikTok, just scrolling one day. The person that I saw that actually said, "Hey, you ever think about this?" Um, his account, he's called the Money Badger, and I believe he's actually been on one of your streams before.
Yes.
And I was like, "What?" Because I've always been a really big reader. I was that kid that went to the library when I was 7, right after I learned to read. Like, I wasn't an early reader, but 7, and, had a stack of 20 books. Every time I took home, they knew me. The librarians knew my name. Um, so I was just very always into books, and it never occurred to me that that's something you could do. And so I just started to search out more content about, FBA. And, once you start searching that out, the algorithm learns what you're looking for. It starts to put the different influencers in there. Steve Rakin came up in my feed. He came up on my Instagram. One day I actually sent him a question and he answered. I'm like,
Oh, cool.
whoa, what?
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, that's kind of how it started out. And I've always kind of had a second job in my lifetime. Always needed something to do. If I didn't have a second job, I was getting another degree in at school. Um, so it was just something that I really liked the idea of as a chance to make money. I have a family member that I thought this could be a good fit for him to make some extra money. So I thought, well, let me try it out and see if I can figure it out, because if I can do the ins and outs and explain it and, like, train him, maybe this is something he would wanna do. So that's kinda how I started.
Yeah. And did you do any other type of selling before? Because I mean, I think online book arbitrage is usually it's like there's a stepping stone to get there. Most people, I don't think, just start out with online book arbitrage. So did you actually start selling books like thrifting books? Like what I would say most booksellers do, or was it just a straight progression, like right into online book arbitrage?
No, it was definitely, thrifting to start out with, and I can't remember if I even had heard of, I think it was Scout IQ from the beginning. I don't even know if I knew about it at first. I was just like, how do you figure out which books?" And I went to whatever thrift store because I was really excited to start looking, and I was like, literally the first time I went, it was just blind picking, and it's really funny to think about now. Um
Oh, with, with
um,
no with no scanning apps or anything, you just kind of
right.
made that one. Oh,
Let me try. Well, I'm thinking I must have used the Amazon seller app to scan it, but I also don't know anything about because it's very confusing about why do these people some people have this priced at like $40, other people have it priced at 23, and I don't understand why would you do that? Why would you price it $20 more? You're never gonna sell it. So yeah, when I finally got Scout IQ, and this is just a week or 2 after I got it, rescanned the books, realized I had a bunch of junk, which was fine. It was like I'd spent $20 on these thrift store books. So I went to thrift stores. I did library sales. I think I even did garage sales at that first time. And what's kind of unfortunate in a way is I started at the end of August and sent my first boxes in September, and it was just really, really slow. September, October, and I was just like, man, I had no clue I had just missed textbook season. And I, like, couldn't wait for it to come around the next year.
You just missed Christmas. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know anything about Christmas either.
Yeah.
When I bought my first Christmas book, it was just at a library sale, and it was actually the beginning of December, and it scanned really high, and it kind of clicked a little bit like, "Wait, oh, yeah, Christmas is, like, in a month, so maybe people are looking for this." I did actually send it in and sold a few Christmas books,
Nice.
um,
Oh, cool.
just kind of on my own without having really known there really is a market for this.
I think you only have
How long did you do the thrifting model?
Let me think, well, I still do it. I
Okay.
still sometimes just for fun, I like to go to garage sales. I love to get homeschool books from garage sales. I still go to, library sales. I did, like, a big run a few weeks ago, actually, like, a big run, and I made, like, $1,000 profit just from that. So I think that's still pretty, I spent, like, 300, made 1,000 in profit just because I think it's fun to go on the hunt. Um, but I apologize, I missed the question before that.
no,
If
it's
I
all
still
good.
do it? Okay.
Yeah, yeah, it was just that if you still thrift, which it seems like you do stand sometimes. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, I don't really I don't have to do it, which is great. That's what I love about doing online arbitrage is I can just come home from work, have dinner, and I can sit down and I can look as much as I want or not that night. If I happen to have a headache, I don't have to look.
Yeah.
And I know it'll be there later or it'll be there once my headache goes away. I can go look then.
I agree with the thrill of the chase. Even me, like I don't ever want to pass up an opportunity. Like if I'm driving by a garage sale on Saturday morning, like I don't know, it's just in my blood. I just want to stop because obviously the best deals you'll ever get are these super high margin deals. We can buy something for like $1 and flip it for 80 or 100, which is crazy. But I think also we realize that it's not really scalable with our time necessarily, right? And we have other stuff going on because you do have a 9 to 5. So I guess my next question for you is, how have you been able to find the time? Because like I said, you're also a wife, you're a stepmother of two, you have a 9 to 5 job. I'm sure you have other hobbies as well. So like how much time are you actually, buying books on Amazon to resell on Amazon?
I think it just depends. Right now, I'm not really doing much. There's just so many other things to do that but when it's not really the quote selling season, is how I think of it. I probably spend like 3 hours a night looking, but that's also off and on. That's like watching TV, looking at the computer, looking back at the TV, getting up, getting a snack, whatever, putting the laundry in. So just every night, probably like 3 or 4 hours just broken up with different tasks.
Yeah, and what are your August numbers looking like? Victor and I did want to strategically interview at this part in August because we knew that okay, this would probably be your best August ever because you've been doing this a couple years and normally you just get better with experience and you have more capital, so you buy more books. And so we're like, let's interview like midway or halfway through August because as you said, this is the selling season. So what are the numbers
Mhm.
looking like this, for August?
Yeah. By now, you'll know how your August is going to turn out,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, so today for August, I just passed 40K.
Wow.
Yeah, that's my new record. That is
Yeah, it's just my new idea. It's fine.
yeah, I mean, obviously. And for the year, I'm at 111, which is what I did last year after return.
Yeah. That's amazing, and we still have, like, a week left to go in August.
I know.
I think
Very
the thing
exciting.
about it is that we said this is the selling season, so there isn't, like, a ton of buying, specifically with, like, seasonal textbooks, but this is the time where you kinda sit back and go, "Okay, yeah, all my hard work from the months prior is really paying off," and yeah, so well done. So, what was the progression from, let's say I don't know what year this is technically for selling. Is this year 3? But what is the progression for, like, roughly what did you sell, maybe year 1, year 2, and so on?
Wait, the a little over 3 years?
Yeah, something like that. I started, August of 2022, so it's 34,000. In 2022, 61,000 in 2023, and then 118 last year.
Last year.
Yeah.
And then now you're already at 111, and we saw, like, 4 months ago. It's
Mhm.
pretty crazy, right?
Yeah,
Um,
so I'm kinda wondering, I'm gonna jinx it. Am I gonna hit 60K this month?
yeah, I mean, that would be amazing.
That would be nuts.
I mean, you saw me lands at 50K.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
50K is
Yeah,
still
so
within reach.
I've been pretty much having pretty steady over $2,000 days, and I've had quite a few $3,000 days in a row.
Yeah, that's amazing. Isn't it a good feeling? Like, I remember the first time I hit 1,000, I screenshotted it on my phone, and the first time I hit 2,000, I screenshotted,
Yeah.
and the first time I hit 3,000, I screenshotted, and I just screenshotted, like 3 days ago, I hit, 6,000 going down. Whoa. So,
Not this year, but my highest number was 12,000 in a day.
that's crazy.
Wow. And a board no, always raising the bar.
Yeah, and for everyone watching this, it's not profit, this is just revenue, right? So, it's a very important thing, and I don't know, what would you say, Michelle, to people who do see these large numbers? Because Victor and I, we don't try to make it, seem unreal. Like, we're not saying, when Michelle sells over 100,000, she's making $100,000 profit. We're just saying that that's for revenues, which is still an accomplishment, but, yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, profit is the most important thing, right? You can't just always focus on revenue, so,
So what type of percentages do you see in the numbers that you're selling,
yeah, that's
right?
good.
Or what's your actual profit of those numbers?
Yeah, and it just varies wildly depending because for one, depending on if I bought it with the intention of trying to hit 100%
Right.
ROI, or if I bought it with the intention of 50%, so yeah, like if I buy a more expensive book, maybe I'm only aiming for 50%. So if I buy a book for 80, I might want to get at least 40 or even like 30. Cause for me, I think even like even, but $20 a book, I mean, that's great. No matter what you
Amazing.
bought it for, really, like 20 and,
Yeah.
flip, 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 $20,
Wow.
that adds up. So I'm pretty happy anytime I see that I cleared $20
Right.
profit on a book.
And most of the prep you're not doing, is that correct?
Correct, most of it. Most of it's going through the prep center.
Okay. And who do you use?
I use Central Virginia Prep.
Central Virginia Prep. Okay, cool.
Mhm.
So the books go over to Shanna, and yeah. So for anyone out there, the prep center essentially they just you send books to them, and they charge you a fee, and yeah, the books magically kind of show up in the Amazon warehouse. I would say it almost that kind of does seem like magic, doesn't it? That you just buy it and it just ends up at the customer, and you just make money. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, especially I did a few big shipments at the beginning of the year because I had bought however many, and I just had them shipped to my house at first because I had stopped using them for a little bit, and
Okay.
so I was getting back into using them again, and I was doing these 45 pound boxes, which is really heavy for me.
Yeah.
And I have bad wrists, and I'm only mentioning this because this is why a prep center is great, because if you do have any, physical limitations, or if you like when I actually started using them at the beginning, it was September of '23, I actually was going into surgery in a couple of months. So I got that all set up so that I knew I could just keep buying books
Wow.
throughout my recovery because you can't lift anything,
Yeah.
for like months. And I had this prep center and it was great. So my business kept chugging along.
How was your experience signing up with the prep center? 'Cause a lot of people, I think, believe it's way harder than I honestly think it is, but what was your experience like?
My experience wasn't as smooth as I wish it would have been. But I think it's because they were on their end, they were switching something and
Okay.
they had a new thing happening, or they had part of their clientele on one and part of their clientele on another, and there was just some confusion. Um,
Mm.
and so but it's just, you just get through it. Like, it's fine. It's not the end of the world if it doesn't go through the first time. You just need to keep in contact with them to say, "Well, I did what you said. It's not working. This is the error it gave me," and they'll help you through because they want to get you set up. One thing I realized too is because in, 2023, I actually lost my account got deactivated for 2 weeks during August,
Yeah.
Oh,
and
no.
it was just because that was my first textbook season that I was aware that it was textbook season in August, so I was really excited, and then it gets deactivated. I never realized until recently because I was going back through my history that I think it might have been because I was getting set up with my prep center because I was giving them access to my account,
I
and I
see.
realized because I looked at the emails and I looked at the dates, the day after my account got deactivated.
Interesting.
And I'm not saying they're correlated, but I would caution people if you're going to make a kind of a big change because you do have to give prep centers or whomever access to your Amazon account so that they can do that. I would say wait until it's not a heavy selling season. Like,
Wait until
do
March.
this yeah, do it in March, do it in April, do it in October. I'm thinking of changing my repricer. I'm waiting to do that until October
There you go.
because I don't wanna screw anything up.
Yeah.
Actually, right now, right? It's the time to sell.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's smart. What repricer are you using right now? And then who
I
are
would
you
be cool right now.
using Bqool? Who are you thinking of switching to another, or what are you thinking of switching to?
Yeah, I'm thinking of switching to Aura
Okay.
because of, it sounds like there's the opportunity to have maybe more, oh, what are they called?
Workflows
The
or strategy?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that you can, create those and then maybe more easily move your listings into them, or I wonder if you can even automatically have
You
it
can.
move in then that's what I'm interested in is kinda not set it and forget it necessarily, but
Yeah.
just not having to go through and per item having to lower my
Yeah, that's
prices is
easier when something like it's 90 days or something now transfers into another rule. I think that sounded pretty amazing.
Yeah. So it's different buckets essentially. So once it's a certain age, like Victor said, 90 or 180, you could tell whatever number of days you want it to, it goes to the next bucket, which is a new set of repricing rules. So
So I have a question. All right, so Michelle, I know you said that like for a year you were not using Prep Center, right? Because based on your timeline. So how did you decide I'm going to start using a Prep Center now? Like it's a year later, and let me go ahead and dive in. And how did you decide to go with Central Virginia Prep? Did you research them before? Did you feel kind of worried when you sent them the first book? How did that whole process happen?
yeah, I'm pretty sure it was the 2 of you that influenced me because it was just yeah, and I know at that time too, Joji was very pro, "You should use a prep center. Here's why." And I was realizing, I'm scaling more. I'm buying these books online. It makes sense because, of course, when you thrift, I mean, I guess you could send to the prep center. To me, that's just unnecessary
Right.
extra just
yeah,
do it myself. But yeah, when it just makes sense when you are trying to scale get some of that time back to involve the prep center. But yeah, ultimately with the timing, it had to do with I knew that I had a surgery coming up.
yeah,
And I knew that it was going to be everything was going to be at a standstill for probably a good 3 to 4 months. So it just made sense. And it was really nice to have that available as an option.
was there a pivotal moment where you remember clearly, wow, this actually works? Because when I make my videos and I go, look, here's the actual evidence. I bought it on Amazon. Here's the receipt. I bought it for 20. I flipped it for 70. This is how much profit I made. I think a lot of people look at it and go, like, wow, could that really be possible? Is that actually like, I see it, but I don't really believe it. Was there a point of you selling in your career where you're like, okay, wow, this is actually legitimate. Like you could actually do this. And now I need to put, the foot on the gas.
With the online arbitrage piece.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that once I started trying to do it, because, you don't know until you try it. I think probably a few months in, as I had built up a certain number that had sold, and especially when they sell for way more than you buy them for, that really helps to drive it home. It's not just hit or miss. It's that every single one, more or less, that you bought is
Yeah.
selling. And like I've said before, it's not always gonna sell for how much you wanted it to or when you thought it would, but it is selling.
Yeah.
But it's up to us to make the proper decisions.
Yeah. And I think
Analyze the data.
the reverse is also true sometimes. Sometimes the books sell faster and for more money than you anticipated. Would you agree with that?
Mhm. Yeah, definitely, and because, like I've said too, I'm risk adverse. When I make my buy, I'm putting it for my minimum, and then when it sells at your maximum and you go in and you look and someone's in there and they're already $9 or whatever higher than what you priced at your maximum, you're like, but no, I'm happy. I'm happy with it. I can't believe it sold at my maximum, and
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
what
Wow.
what do I need to look at so that it sells for more? I don't know.
So I imagine that has also happens to you, Jody. Sometimes Frank will send in some books at 199, and I have not repriced them, but they've already came back on Amazon and are live. And I've actually sold multiple copies of books at 199. I'm like, wow, I'm happy I didn't touch this book because
I put have probably not even put my mats at 199. My mats probably been like, 120 or something, but 199, I'm okay. This is good stuff. So yeah, books can tell all different price ranges, and that's what's cool about Amazon, right?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely surprises us. I've been surprised multiple times, just like you. And even sometimes till this day, I'll sell a book, and I'm not at that 199, but like I'll sell a book at a price where I'm scratching my head. I'm like, okay, I don't know what happened here, but whatever my minute max price, where I was like way above what I should have been, but I sold it anyway. So that's amazing. Um, but it is a good point, Michelle. You're not, no one's going to be 100%, right? Just like any professional athlete can't do anything with 100% accuracy. It's just not possible. And, you can't be 100% right on your books that you do buy. And I think that's the biggest hurdle for most people is that the amount of money you have to put into buying a book on Amazon versus at a library store or thrift store is so much higher that it feels like it's so much more risky. So, how did you get over this sort of hump of like, well, you know, I may not sell every book and I am spending quite a bit of money, on average per book. Like, how did you get over that? You know what I mean?
So one thing that I did from the beginning, was that I didn't wanna go into debt. I didn't want to risk more than, what I was comfortable risking, and so when I very first started out, I had a certain amount that I started with, and I paid attention right from the beginning as to if I was paying off, my startup costs. So I knew that, every payout that was coming back from Amazon, I knew all of it was profit. And I've always known that ever since then, and so I knew that anytime I was buying inventory, I wasn't risking any of my, quote, "own money." I knew that it was all profit. And so all it really means is that you might not be like, if you make a bad buy, okay, well, you have a slight setback, but it's not the end of the world. You can keep going. It's kinda like a lot of people I just thought about when you try to lose weight. It's like if you have a bad day, if you overeat that day, it's not like, "Oh, no more dieting, you're not allowed." It's like, no, you just keep going. It's like, "Oh, you lost $20 on that book? Not the end of the world, just buy better books." Like,
Yeah.
it's a rolling total, and at the end of the year, it'll all kinda shake out, and you'll see where you are then, but just keep going. Don't let the bad experiences, keep you down. I actually have a story that I never told anyone.
I would love to hear it.
It's embarrassing and terrible, and I don't want the person who bought these books to be like, "Yeah, that was me." There is a book that, Victor put us onto, and I bought 10 copies, and these books were like $150, and Victor will probably know what I'm talking about. And we were waiting until, Amazon sold out, and then we could resell them for around $240, right? So I bought 10 copies at $150 a piece, do the math.
Yeah.
I w I was working on my stranded inventory one day, and a different book, had stranded, I think, and I updated that price to $32. This other book was underneath it,
Oh,
and I
no.
updated that price to $32, and you couldn't even guess how fast all 10 of my copies sold.
Oh my god.
Someone bought 1, and then I don't know if they were like, "Whoa, she's got 9," and then they're all gone.
Oh, no.
So that was a big
Well, the air conditioning book.
Yeah, air condi yeah.
that was a gut punch. I immediately, and you know how I got over it, kind of? I immediately told my husband. I immediately got it out. I vented,
Yeah. Yeah.
and you know what? I was like, that was profit. It's pure profit, and it's not coming out of the savings account. It's not, "Oh, we can't, buy new tires for the car." It's that it was profit, move on. It sucks. Now be super careful
Yeah.
when you
Yeah.
reprice your stranded items. I've never told anyone that because it's
Everybody.
so embarrassing.
That happens to everybody.
Happens to
So, I
everyone.
mean,
Yeah,
the fact had that was a great book. So you just
yeah, it was.
stick by it, right? Yeah.
I've never bought another one since
Oh, but it did go up, right? It's planned. It did go
oh, yeah,
out of stock.
I've checked on it, Victor, but I'm like,
Check out-
Yeah. I mean, the moral of that story is that it's impossible to be right. And this is beyond book selling. Just in life in general, there's always going to be setbacks. I've got a couple in my life where I'm like, dude, what were you thinking? What were you doing? And it's like, I've had a couple where I've had like minus a few $1,000s. Like, I just bonehead things that I've done. But at the end of the day, it's like, if you're always making progress, like Michelle said, you're making progress every day. And even when you have setbacks, like you're still further ahead, right? If your intention is like every day, I'm trying to get better every day. I'm meticulous and trying to run a profitable business. And I think what I wanted to bring the whole question back to is we always tend to focus on what doesn't work well, but let's focus on also, well, what does do well. So, what would you say if you had to make a guess for every 10 books you bought? How many of them would you say you do actually sell for a profit?
Oh, like 99-ish percent.
Easy.
When I say those type of numbers, people don't believe me. Everyone else in the book space, they're like, "Oh, I have to get rid of like 30 or 40 books and destroy them." And I'm like, "Per 100 books? Oh my gosh. I don't even that's crazy. They're not even close to it, right?" And because Michelle does a very similar method here. So very few of them are going to just totally be losses.
Yeah. And one also good point that you mentioned, you incorrectly pricing that book, that was a mistake. A lot of people ask, like, why would books be mispriced on Amazon? Well, there's a reason right there. It's just a mistake. And that happens all the time. Guess what? There's thousands of organizations and people selling books. It happens all the time. And yeah, whoever got those 10 copies made a bunch of money off Michelle. But
Please
yeah,
don't tell me ever. No one ever tell me if it was
It
you.
wasn't us.
Well, I don't want anyone in the comments. Please don't come up to me at Books Mom
No, we're fine.
saying,
Michelle, that's fine. Let that happen. That's just life.
yeah, it is just
"No, it's fine that it happened. It's fine that it happened. I just don't wanna ever know
yeah,
who got them."
yeah, I know. Yeah. So, by the way, that is actually a good segue. Just so everyone who's watching this knows, Michelle's is going to be a speaker at Books and Beyond. That Victor and I are incredibly excited to bring Michelle on stage because one, I just don't think online book arbitrage is very big in the book selling space when you think all of the different types of book selling, and then two, even though there are definitely women doing online book arbitrage, there aren't very many women who make content or speak out about it. And so one reason why I'm super excited that Michelle's here, that she's live with us, she's here for the interview, that she's gonna be a speaker is just to show the other women out there that you could totally do this. And I guess I shouldn't be the one saying that. But let me ask you, Michelle, do you think that women have an equal opportunity here with book selling in this way? What's your thoughts?
Oh, yeah, absolutely, and I agree with you. A lot of women don't make content or necessarily talk about it, and we do have a lot going on. But this is uh, a hobby or business or side hustle or whatever that is equal opportunity. The internet's right there, um, and the content's right there on YouTube. If you're not sure how to do it, you just need to, just consume as much as you can. That's what I did at the beginning. It is really exciting in the beginning to want to jump right in, but I would just caution everyone, men and women, um, you know, take your time, digest the content to the extent that you personally need to. You might see that someone else is doing it a certain way, or is at a certain point, but they probably took years to get there. I think there are very few people who catch on super quickly and have really high sales super quickly. Like, I think, Joji and Victor, you guys have been doing this, like, 8 years or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So and I've been doing this for 3 years.
Yeah. I mean, my first book that I purchased was in 2015 with the purpose of flipping. So it's actually I think I've been underestimating. It's been like a decade, and
Mm.
I want to say it took me 5 years to hit 100K in revenue. I think Victor is definitely much faster than I was. But what about you?
Yeah, I would just because of the college textbook seasons, right? I kind of knew that was happening, and once I really honed into seasonal books, I kind of took off. But I didn't get to 500,000 until what's year 6, so it took me 6 years to get there.
Yeah,
Well,
Yeah.
and I think too that I've had, an unusual maybe not unusual, but I had an advantage, and I've also been lucky in the progression that I had and the influencers, for lack of a better word, that I came across and that I took advantage of what offering. Uh, because no, you don't need to take a $5,000 class, but I do think there is merit and value in being part of a community, even if that community does cost money. And so what I'm thinking of, this is how I found Joji, was from Steve Rakin's group. He had and I think he still has a monthly group. I'm not sure how much it costs, but there are different speakers, I think, every night of the week talking about um, their experience in reselling, their niche, talking about repricing or the triggers that they use for Scoutly and those types of things. And I was part of that group. for probably the better part of a year. At one point, he had a mentorship group. I was part of that. Um, I actually took the eBay to Amazon class. Um, I think that might have been the first time I was exposed with Joji, and then started following his channel. Met Victor, started following his content, was part of his Patreon, and then now BookMine. And then I have the membership with the twice monthly classes, which is ongoing mentorship, learning spreadsheets, learning repricing. All of those things have contributed to my knowledge and my confidence as a bookseller and 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 just knowing when to do things, what not to do, what to look out for. So I've had a lot of exposure that I think a lot of people haven't had. So I think there's a lot of merit in searching out additional training.
Yeah, I mean, so well said. And I would even go so far as to say, Michelle, you are, I think, getting very close to being at that point where you could easily be considered a coach. Or where, like I said, if somebody were to come to me like, I want to learn this, I'd be like, all right, well, I'm really busy right now, but like, here's Michelle. Michelle can teach you everything you need to know. I honestly would feel very comfortable doing that. And Victor, I think you would agree.
Oh, 100% agree. I mean, I know it when I'm teaching classes and Michelle's like, "Yeah, I got that down." But specifically, what about this one specific example? It's because she's already got that part down. She's at another level. So yes, definitely Michelle has mastered this process. And now it's just about how much she wants to skill.
Yeah, which is a good question because on, let's say Instagram, I'd say less so YouTube, more on Instagram. I think there is in our society, like, big flashy numbers. You want to scale as large as you can. And Victor and I, interestingly, because we both or have pursued financial independence and technically have retired early, it's like we didn't think necessarily just about, what can money buy, like physical things. We always thought of like, what can money buy in terms of time back for you? In other words,
Yeah.
in this equation of how much do I want to scale on my own, you know, um, experience, it's more of like what combination of freedom and time to do the things I want to do and also making money, is beneficial to me. So what is that for you? Like what do you see yourself being happy with going forward next year or years in the future?
Oh, as far as how far I want to go with the business, where I want.
Yeah, in terms of revenue or, if there's a certain mark that you're satisfied with because it gives you a certain amount of time to do these other things and so on.
Yeah, I just kinda I think I have it in my head, and I just think I don't wanna copy Joji's numbers. I just wanna do 100K in a year, and I guess it doesn't matter what the sales are to to end up with that profit because, maybe Joji has 300K in sales and 100 in profit, but someone else might need to do more sales to get to that profit, especially if you have a smaller, like, return on your investment, your sales may need to churn higher to
Yep.
generate that amount of profit. So, yeah, I think that would be, like, the pinnacle. If you could make 100K a year doing this business that I don't know that you can ask for much more. I know a lot of people do, and that's fine. But this is a part-time job. I have a full-time job. I guess if I no longer had the full-time job, which would probably be against my will, but if that turned out to be the case, then I would probably be at this a lot more than I am. But I think that's a really good point to make is that just because someone has 100K in sales does not mean that that's their profit.
Exactly.
Or I said something the other day about, well, how much you profit, it depends on what time of year it is. And what I was actually thinking was cash on hand because it's when you see the cash on hand and it's more that you than you had at the beginning of the season, sometimes you feel like, well, that's my profit. But there's actually a different way to calculate profit. And so sometimes some person might say profit and a different person says profit and they're calculating it differently. Are you thinking cash on hand? Are you thinking true profit in the accounting sense? So my point is that to take it with a grain of salt when people tell you their number.
Yes, they don't actually know how to say like what's actually profitable with their business. They
E
don't actually see those numbers. Yeah.
exactly, because there is a proper way in the
Yes. Right.
accounting world to do these numbers, and then sometimes, we just kind of feel like, "Well, that's my number." So, 100K in sales doesn't mean 100K in profit for sure, doesn't mean 50K in profit. It's gonna be different for every single person, so don't assume that everybody's got that a certain amount on their bank account.
It's a great way to say it. You could sell $1,000,000 and make no money. You can actually lose money, do all that
Yeah,
work.
absolutely.
When we were at the Miami Sellers Conference, we asked people what 100,000 means to them as far as profit, and I think they were telling us between like maybe $6,000 to $8,000. I'm like, wow,
Yeah.
that is so 6 to 8%. That's what
Yeah.
you're operating. Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
everybody else books than us.
Yeah, profit margin. So for every whole K in revenue, they're bringing home in profit 6 to 8,000, which I'm like,
Yeah. And
"Ee, that's" yeah.
that's why I do books too, is because when I very first started out, yeah, we know we're, I first started out and you start out and you're like, a lot of people are introduced because books, and then you start hearing about, RA, which is retail arbitrage, regular online arbitrage, which is not books, it's other things. Oh, what is the other one? Um,
Wholesale sale?
Wholesale, and then the other one, the private label,
Private label, yeah.
where you create your own product and you have it manufactured elsewhere, shipped over here or whatever. And I'm realizing with this retail arbitrage, people are like, "Oh, $3 a unit." And I'm like, "What? Like that's your profit? Like
Yeah.
how many units you have to do to like make anything?" And I'm like, "That is so much work." And now you're sourcing like another retail arbitrage. "Oh, but the price just went up at your local CVS. You can't source it anymore." So that's why I really like books, is because it is relatively easy to find just a $10 profit book just to even keep it lower. And that's you can buy it from the comfort of your own home.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
would agree. I mean, when people ask us at, conferences, they like, that's like they tell Victor and us all the time, like, "Oh, that's great that you started. That's great, but you should really move on to something else." And why haven't you moved on? And I'm always like,
yeah,
I don't my goal is to make money. So that's why I'm with books. Like I looked at all the models, like wholesale, just a bunch of work and too much work, honestly, for me. Like, yeah, you can make it work, but way more work and energy that I'm wanting to put in. Way more communication with brands. Private label, talk about a ton of work. Where yeah, you can make a bunch of money, but I'm not looking to do that much work. Retail arbitrage, I'm like, I don't got time to be driving around to every single store, hit every single Walmart up. That's just way too much time. And so for
I
me,
like
like,
that too.
yeah, and for me, it's like books, online book arbitrage is just like it's an amazing balance of like you can just do it from home. You can do whatever you want. You don't even have to do the majority of the work because you have a prep center and you have Amazon FBA. And I don't know, I don't know. What about you, Victor? I just like there's a reason why I do books only, and all is because I want to make money.
yeah.
I'm like,
It's like for me, what our actual advantage is that we're able to use our minds, right? Because like that item at CVS or at Walmart that it's $4 and we'll be able to make a $3 profit off of it. That's probably at every Walmart that's in the United States. So anyone who wants to go and buy that can go and buy that and try to make $3. And there's enough people doing it, you're not going to make $3 anymore, right? It's going to be $2 or $1 or nothing because this it'll be flooded with supply. But the way we're doing it is that there's probably only one or two books that are actually that valuable. And so because we're able to like actually focus in on it, use our mental capacity here, we'll figure out that those are really valuable and buy them and you know that we're actually our money's virtually guaranteed because nobody else in the world has access to that book at that cheap. And so that's why I always thought like, okay, cool, yeah, there's this product that is you can go and buy it from Walmart and sell it for double the price. But there's all the Walmarts in the United States that are doing that same thing, and soon enough, it's gonna get flooded, and that's why a lot of those people aren't making much money at all doing it. So yeah, I mean, well done to all. So that's why we do books.
yeah. Michelle, have you read the book, The Pumpkin Plan? It's one of Mike Michalowicz's books. He's the author of Profit First. Have you ever heard of it or read that book?
Yeah, I've heard of it, but I haven't read it.
Okay. So that was also a big pivot for me, the pumpkin plan. But so I would recommend that as a reading to anyone else as well. Basically, just focus on one thing, focus on books, which is what you're doing, Michelle. So just to confirm, you're not trying to switch out of this model into something else. You're pretty happy with where you're at here.
No, I'm it's books, like, it's always gonna be books, I think. Every so often, I do consider, because I did take the eBay to Amazon class, and I know Steve's very passionate about what he sources on eBay, and I think about that sometimes, especially in the months like right now in textbook season when you can't find a lot of books, is potentially maybe doing some of that. Um, I do have reservations about those types of products. I don't know anything about it. I know sometimes you don't need to know much. I do get scared of like IP complaints or getting letters from lawyers, and I've only ever gotten one letter from a lawyer, and it wasn't for a book, it was for, like, a vitamin supplement that I bought in the very beginning.
Yeah.
And I was like, "What?" No, um, it's, so I was like, "This is just too much. I don't need to be dealing with letters from lawyers and figuring out when they're legit and when they're not and whatever." So that's another reason why books are so great.
Yeah. And I do want to also say that I think if books were an option, I would actually do eBay to Amazon because I do see it as like the other model that you can make a lot of money without doing a bunch of effort. But like you said, there's those other unknowns as well. I think the cool thing about books is it's uniform. Like everybody knows what a book is. Like even if you don't know what the contents of the book is, like you know what a book is, right? Versus like there's all these just random products that you could be buying anywhere, and you're like, I have no idea what the heck that's for. But okay, this is a book. You know what that's for, right? I think
Yeah,
that there's
you know how to
comfort.
read the chart. Yeah, and the chart's pretty much going to apply the same more or less, as long as you understand and you don't even have to understand the season of that book because the chart tells you
And
if
so
it
when you're
has a
talking about
season, if it
charts, for
doesn't.
the people who don't know what we're talking about,
Mhm.
what do you mean by a chart?
The keep a chart.
Okay. Okay,
So,
cool.
and I
Would
think
you say
that's,
that's probably like the number one thing you have to learn doing OA? Okay.
absolutely. Um, I think just to sell on Amazon,
Yeah.
regardless of what you're selling, you just have to know Keepa. And at early on, I realized like I need to learn Keepa. It was just very, very foreign at the beginning. And that's one reason why I like Joji's YouTube channel so much was because he taught us how to do it. And no one else was doing it, and definitely not doing it to the extent that he was doing it. But especially with books. Just highly recommend Joji's YouTube channel if you want to learn Keepa.
Thank you. Also the BookMine channel because
Yeah.
Victor would teach it, but through Facebook. So, and you also had your own sessions at Victor that you would get from people who joined your Facebook group, but you didn't have a
Yeah.
YouTube channel. But
I did it all because of my old job, right? My old job didn't let me really be online. But yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
Mhm.
so
There's
on
a
the
lot of
also
really good content on BookMine.
yeah, so on the BookMine channel as well, we have what's called the BookMine Crash Course. It's a playlist, and it's actually like a 32 video long Keepa crash course. So I would highly recommend. It's actually not just me; it's also Victor as well. It's both of
Yeah.
us, and we try to throw corny jokes in there to make you watch it. But I think it's
Lighten it up, right?
good.
But because some of it is we're just reading charts, right?
Yeah,
Here's the use black line, here's the blue line, here's the Amazon line. We explain them all and why they're important.
yeah. I would go as far as to say I think people's most of the time when people have issues selling on Amazon in relation to not understanding why nothing's selling or why they're not profitable because of a lack of understanding of Keepa, right? And you would say, Michelle, that's like number one priority, right? Learning how to
Yeah, absolutely. And I need to get better at Keepa as well. And now that you actually mentioned, because sometimes we forget the resources that we have. Now that you mentioned that these sources are on BookMine as well, like I'm actually going to go check them out again because I do need to get better at reading Keepa. I do need to get better at knowing how to use BookMine.
yeah,
'Cause I think I think we all kind of settle into the way that we do it,
Yeah.
and it's good to be reminded of, well, here's a different combination, or here's something else you could do, or, just something else to be on the lookout for, because I think it's important to continue to keep learning and expand your knowledge for sure, so I'm actually going to go check that out as well.
awesome. Sounds good. Um, would you say that there were any early mistakes that you made that you look back on now and maybe you could have prevented? And I'm thinking of this as for somebody who's watching it who's early in their stage that maybe, they're early in their journey for book selling that you could maybe give them like, okay, this is a common pitfall that, even I fall into and I see a lot of beginner sellers fall into, like anything that comes top of mind that like, oh, you really want to make sure you look out for that.
As an example, what about like when you were thrifting? Did you even put any emphasis on Keepa at all? Would you have probably said that probably should learn Keepa immediately or
I think with the thrifting model, I think that actually if you're going to be using Scout IQ or Scoutly, there's actually, a certain way to use it. You need to be aware of what the data is telling you. A lot of people just look at it and they go like, "Oh, it's green. I'm gonna buy it." And that's one thing that I did too. I was like, "Oh, it's like $2 profit or it's like $1 profit." And like, I'm gonna take every single profit I can because I'm trying to build this up. So I'm just gonna buy all these books and I'm gonna make $1. I don't care if it's only $1. Well,
yeah.
prices tank and you spend money sending it in. You spend money shipping it in. So you could potentially be losing money because you're adding weight to that box and you're
Yeah.
now actually making a dollar anymore because um, it's not figured into your trigger sets. And I think that's an important thing too, is for one to understand how to read these scouting apps
Yeah.
is to understand what the trigger sets are,
Oh,
because they come pre-programmed. And when you really understand selling on Amazon, you understand that you potentially need to change those trigger sets so that you're not buying junk, or so that it goes off when there is a reason to get it, because maybe there's no other FBA seller on there and the new price is up here, and then the merchant price is actually not that low. You can, like, slide right in there. Yeah, the FBO, there's no other FBA other FBA offers, so I think it would be, really learning, getting as much knowledge as you can at the beginning, because I do see a lot on the book groups of people complaining about this and that, and they didn't know and nobody told me, and it's like, nobody knows to tell you these things. You have to learn it on your own, and you have to learn the questions to ask
yep.
and be curious and search out the information.
It's really true. I mean, I think there's overall a lot of people, yeah, who, like you said, who do complain about, the fees being too high. I think it always comes down to is like, do you understand what it is that you're buying? And for me, like, even if I do, let's say if I were to go thrift, I don't like thrift, but like if I, see a garage sale and I just happen to stop by, or if I, you know, get my hands on a textbook locally or something, like for me, it's like not even worth it if the book's at least worth like $20. Like, and there's a lot of people who be like, you know, they're picking up, like you said, books that are $2, $3 per hour. I'm like, there's just so much time and effort that goes into like having to put those in a box and have to I'm like, if the thing is not even at least worth $20, I already think it's like a worthless book if it's not at least over that, and it's like, it's gotta be worth your
You don't have to put in so much work into it. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. I go to thrift stores all the time and see books, and I'm like, I think it's like a $30 book, but I'm now gonna have to like get my printer back going and find the shipping label on a box. It's not worth it. I just leave it on the shelf.
yeah, exactly.
All right, so Michelle, about like February, March timeframe of this year, the used buy box kind of got a little funky, right? Where there were a lot of merchant fulfilled sellers getting the buy box instead of the FBA sellers, and I know a lot of FBA sellers were like really dependent on the buy box. Did you change anything about your specific business when that happened? Did you worry at all? Did you like look back at things and consider changing the like basically what did you do anything different?
No, I paused my business for, I think it went on for 3 weeks. I'm not sure if it was longer than that, but it really
There.
seemed like forever. It really, I think it got a lot of people thinking. I think
Yeah,
it freaked a lot of people out. It freaked me out, and I think a lot of people started to rethink, "What am I doing? How am I running my business? Do I need to get better at sourcing to not take the buy box into account so much? Because if this stays, can I adapt? Is it the end of my business? What do I do?" But also, those of us who've been with Amazon a couple years at least, we know they're always doing this kind of shenanigan, whether they mean to or they don't. And I think someone said, someone probably flipped a switch they weren't supposed to, or maybe it was like this was like an alternate universe that somehow got put into play. And when they finally realized it, they they undid it, and they never spoke to it, they never admitted it, they know we I don't know if anyone knows why it happened, but anyway, um, but I just kind of I stopped sourcing a little bit for a time. I did actually buy on the dip a little bit. I bought for some people were trying to get out,
yeah,
but I was still a little scared. I was still a little, like, hesitant as, "Is this gonna," but I was like, "Well, the money I've spent, like, it's spent, and I can't get it back, and it is what it is. So if it doesn't fix itself, I'll, just plan to sell what I bought so far in textbook season." I wasn't sure if I was going to keep buying more the way I had planned to. I was wondering if I was going to actually exit from doing this business if it didn't recover,
right.
because I do actually, and I'll admit I'll always admit when I'm a bad kid, but I do take bump the buy box bump into account when I'm purchasing. and I need to get better about that.
Yeah.
And that's a mistake going back to the earlier question. Newer sellers are looking at that buy box all the time. It's like, what if they take it away from you? Because we hear seasoned sellers, they say they took it away from me. I'm not sure how long till I get it back. That's
Yeah.
possible too.
A lot of people during that time were just hysterical. This is the end of the world. This is the end of everything.
Mhm.
And Victor and I were trying to hold the line, like, guys, right? Very like, okay, stuff like this happens all the time. I'm pretty
I
certain.
saw all the evidence that
Yeah,
this is not going to be long. Like
yeah,
I could tell this was a test. I couldn't tell for sure, right? Because I didn't work at Amazon, but I could just see every little indicator out there. This is just a test. Just wait. And some people were just literally clearancing out their books, like giving up.
and I was
Pretty
like,
surprising. So
okay, because there's a couple people messaging me like, hey, do you want to just like buy my inventory? I'm like, no, I'm not gonna make some like back, end deal with you because I need the Amazon invoice. So I'm like, if you want to give me your store name and then discount everything, then I'll go ahead and buy the books then. But yeah, I mean, to go back to what you guys said, Michelle, it was a scary time for the overwhelming majority of people because most people make purchasing decisions for those books that they buy to flip using the buy box as the value of the book. And when in reality, the value of the book is whatever the cheapest offers are available on the marketplace over time. That's what the value of the book is. But then obviously the added feature of getting in 2 days, that's a service that has value to it. But if that service is gone, then all of a sudden the value of the book goes back to what its actual value was, right? So we almost, I mean, yeah, we got a lot of heat for it, but I'm glad that it worked out. I guess have you made any changes then? Because I mean, you said you're a bad kid. You're not really a bad kid. It's just, you know, I also use the buy box as well. It's more of like it's an advantage, so use it. But at the same time, just don't be so hysterical and end of the world when it's not there anymore. You know what I mean? Because it is like a privilege almost, right?
Not really. Sometimes I do, like, I do try to slap myself on the wrist a little bit more
Yeah.
with the buy box, especially if the buy box is just, crazy and it's like, no, don't, you
Yeah.
can tell it's when you can tell when it's just kind of out of line.
Yeah.
Um, and I usually just move on, especially when I'm unsure. Like I said, I need to learn keepa better, in my opinion. When I'm unsure, if it's just a charts all over the place, I move on. I don't care how much the profit is. I just take myself out of the equation because I'm not really sure what to do. Because there's just so many more books. There's always another book that I do know how to read the
yeah,
chart.
there's always more books. Yeah,
Yep.
exactly.
So I think this was, again, a lot of value to somebody, even if you're an experienced bookseller, even if you're a newer bookseller, if somebody doesn't do online book arbitrage, I think there's a lot of value. And again, having Michelle here. So I want to say thank you for that. Couple of things before we wrap up. Again, Michelle is going to be a speaker at Books and Beyond. That's coming up October 10th through 12th, 2025. Just in case you're watching this past that date, it will have already happened. But it's an event that we hold for booksellers every single year. So even if you watch this after that date, there's going to be another one. So don't worry. But Michelle will be a
2026.
speaker
Yep.
at
Okay.
this Books and Beyond. Really excited about that. And then also want to let everyone know that we do offer a free tool with BookMine. It's called BookMine Mini, where you get 50 book leads every 2 hours, basically sent to you. All you have to do is log in. So you get basically 600 free OA book leads, meaning buy them on Amazon, resell them on Amazon. I do truly believe that you could sell quite a bit just with BookMine Mini. So make sure you sign up down below. There is a link in the description. And before we head off here, Michelle, any last advice for somebody who wants to start this journey? Yeah, what do you have to say?
Definitely, just educate yourself as much as possible. Search out the information that you need. If you don't know the answer, don't be afraid to ask the question. There are so many people who walked in that path before you, and they know the struggles. They know where you're coming from. But I think there's a lot to learn. So just put yourself in a position to learn it from, people who've been there before you. I think there's a lot of value in joining groups. I'm not saying to spend a whole bunch of money every single month, but there are groups out there that have a ton of value. I think there's one that's like $30 a month or something like that. Fully worth it. And also, I believe you can look back at all of the past videos.
Yeah.
So the content's out there if you search it out. And I think that that's what people should do to prepare yourselves for what's ahead, and put yourself in the best possible position.
Great words. And I just again I want to say thank you so much, Michelle. Any parting words for you, Victor?
Uh, just
trying to emulate what Michelle is doing if you're just starting out, right? Somebody who really is curious, wants to gain as much knowledge as possible in the book business, and then now is succeeding because of that knowledge. So I'd say try to ask her questions when she's in a group or something like that, and yeah, I'm just again just really thank you that you came and helped out a lot of people in the book community.
All righty. Well, again, thanks for everyone who joining. Again, try to grab your tickets to Books and Beyond if you want to make it to Las Vegas, October 10th to 12th. Sign up for BookMine Mini, but that's all we got here. And we'll see you all in the next one. See you guys.
Bye, guys.